So excited to be joined here in studio by Shayna Super, the programming manager with ArtsQuest and executive director at Levitt Pavilion. Shayna, I can't imagine you have much to do in the summertime.
Oh yeah, I mean, it just goes by in a blink. No, people always ask, when do you start planning for Musikfest? And it's really right when the last one ends. So even though there's some stuff in between, we've been planning for Musikfest 2023 since September 2022.
There's so much that goes on behind the scenes in your department, across the board, within the community, and of course at ArtsQuest. Take us through your job though. You're the one that books the bands, you find the talent, you bring them here to Bethlehem. What goes into that?
So we have a great team that helps us book everything. We do most of what I oversee with the team is our free to the public programming. So the Levitt Free Concert Series, as well as Musikfest, what you see in Palette and Pour, all of that good stuff. But it starts a little bit at last year's Musikfest. You see what you liked, if there was new bands, and we kind of make a list, a best of the fest list afterwards, and say they actually lived up, they were great, and we kind of keep a list that way. We get agency submissions, so the bands come to us with their what they want to play, and then we get a lot of submissions online. A lot.
Like how many? I mean, bands apply, they want to be a part of Musikfest. I mean, how would you?
I would say like at least 1,000 bands will apply throughout the year to play Musikfest specifically, but just anywhere at Steel Stacks. So we have a great team that goes through it all, but we really have a volunteer committee, the Music Arts Committee, that help go through. They basically get homework and they go through. We let them log on to kind of the platform that we get them all from, and they go through and they say, this would be good for leader plots, this would be good for America plots. So we're all reviewing bands throughout the fall and winter.
So many different stages. Of course, you want to cover all the genres of music. You've got the local bands, and of course, those that come from all over the world. I mean, how do you balance bringing back the favorites and also trying to get some new artists in every year?
It's a tough thing to do because, there are people who look forward to those Musikfest staples that you want to come back and see. But I think the beauty of Musikfest is that you have your staples, but what you end up leaving most fulfilled seeing is something you didn't even know that you were going to see. You're waiting for that band to come on and you see this new band, and that's what really sticks out. So I'm hopeful that when patrons leave, they appreciate the balance and understand, well, maybe this band didn't play, I got this new great band that's not from the area who gets to experience this. And so many of the performers love coming to our festival and just have such high praise for it that I hope that people can appreciate as we try to work through that.
What are some of the things, in terms of feedback that you get from performers? What do they like about this festival? Why is Musikfest the one that everybody wants to be a part of?
So we have the stage managers are largely volunteers throughout the festival. They're pushing cases, they're setting up gear, they're doing all that. And they're so very attentive in a way that you don't always see at festivals. When they have questions, when they need answers, there's someone there to help them, point them in the right direction, and point them where to get a good drink after the show. It's a very hospitable festival towards them. So I think they end up pretty shocked at what they walk into if they've never heard of Musikfest or never played it before, of how expansive it is, but how helpful everybody is.
We all knew the volunteers at Musikfest were the best. I mean, we're talking 40 years now of this festival being run by the community, which is awesome. You mentioned it a little bit, coming to the festival and maybe finding something you didn't realize you liked. I mean, what's your favorite genre of music, and do you feel like your job has opened your eyes to other types that you enjoy?
My favorite genre is probably, this is a pretty broad term, just like indie rock. So, but I find myself booking almost not as much of that and more of what I see other people are enjoying. I feel like the reggae genre has really, and Steel Stacks has its new One Earth Reggae Fest, and we've found that was probably an underserved genre in the area, and it's always just kind of looking for that feedback of what people want. So reggae and blues and things like that I didn't really listen to a ton before I started here.
Well, you grew up in the Lehigh Valley, so I imagine you attended the festival before you came
to
be a part of ArtsQuest. I mean, a little bit of a different experience now that you're behind the scenes.
I saw MGMT when it was raining that one day as a patron, and now I know, oh God, if it rains, like what a pain.
Another can of worms for sure.
So definitely different.
Speaking of the Lehigh Valley, so many talented musicians in this area. What's the percentage of local performers that we see at a normal festival? And I mean, I know we see worldwide folks come here to Bethlehem as well.
On average, year over year, we'd probably say about a third of the performers are pretty hyper-local to the Lehigh Valley and Pennsylvania. And then another third maybe in the region, Northeast region, and then that final third is really nationally touring acts that are, making their way from California out to Pennsylvania. So.
Well, since you're doing all the heavy lifting behind the scenes, you've been booking bands for a year. Can you give us a couple of new names maybe that we haven't seen to look towards, here in 2023?
Yeah, so we've got a lot of what we call free stage headliners, a little bit more of an investment. So we have Weed Us to get your teenage dirtbag era on. Nappy Roots and Magic are some other headliners that you'll see at Americaplatz. And then a really cool one, I think they've played before, but Devin Allman and Donovan Frankenreiter are trying to break a Guinness World Record doing 50 shows in 50 days. So if they do it, Musikfest is going to be in the book too.
Musikfest, already a part of history, but that would be pretty cool to join the Guinness Book,
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for all you do. And again, all the bands are paid, which is important for people to know as well, coming and buying, food and Musikfest mugs, everything along the way, supporting ArtsQuest, the volunteers. That's what makes it possible. And we appreciate your efforts too. Looking forward to hundreds of hours of Musikfest programming here on the Service Electric Network. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
Best of luck and enjoy the music. Try to have some fun too.
Oh, I will.